the bad and mean, the green machine. We hit them hard, so they see green.
It is Kane! It is Kane! It's here! My God! The big red machine is here! Kane is here! In the flesh!
Sorry for the delays, everyone. New potato, new problems. We're joined tonight. Josh King is actually shown up. First time on time
for 5 minutes.
all year. And we've got Ado and the Doctor.
Hey lads,
Boys.
ladies, how are we?
Good. Boys, let's start with a recap from last week. How'd we go? Yeah, that's why I wanted to start with that, because I know you both went shit house.
I got 1244 and went down 2,000 spots, mate. So
I'll tell you what, you're lucky it wasn't more.
I thought I was only going to go down 100 or 200 based on I won 6 out of a 10 leagues, or maybe 7. So I thought I'd go down maybe 500, but
Were they all public leagues?
2,000. Yeah.
Kando?
I mean,
I went 1249. 1249, which was way below. I made a few errors. I made as well by bringing in Harry Grant early, but, you know, I mucked it up with other things. So 1249, I went from 390th down.
All right, still in that royalty top 1,000, mate, but
I scraped.
have you got some plans, mate? Have you got a few scrapbooks full of what the fuck's going on?
I did have some plans, but I was hoping that Pappenhausen was brought back in, and I was going to pull my team apart and get him back in. Bit of a point of difference for a lot of teams that had sold him and that sort of thing, but he's not named, so now I'm at a bit of a loss as to what to do.
So this will be the third week, won't it?
I think so, yes.
Yeah. And I think that's the biggest thing that I looked at. I mean, obviously we can never tell with injuries sort of how bad they are. We only really know what the club's released, but there was just something about it there a couple of weeks ago. I thought, hang on, this is probably more than 2 weeks. So hopefully, you know, I don't think there's too many people in that top 1,000 who have held on to him, but obviously getting him back as soon as possible is a big thing for a lot of that fullback, and it's a big thing. Boys, I think I scored just over 1,300. So the updates were weird how they sort of went up and then down. I wasn't too sure. I sort of woke up on that Monday morning and I think I dropped about 30 points or so. So it's a bit weird. It's usually the updates the other way, but everyone went the same sort of way. A lot of sort of 1,400s turned into high 1,300s, or 13s turned into 12. So, but boy. Well and truly behind you lads, sitting in about 35,000 spot. I'm not too unhappy considering about 80,000 fucking 4 weeks ago. So trending the right way, but very, very tough going. Copped another nightmare this week with Lomax going out with that fractured thumb. I've got to give it to Benny. Obviously, I was cruising heading to that last game. I had 30 points in Lomax against Curran. And all of a sudden, I've gone down to him. So well done, Benny. Good win there. But yeah, boys, I don't know. I don't know what to sort of make of this season so far. It's a lot of those sort of gun teams are performing well, and that trade here or there can make a huge difference. I mean, Ken, I thought masterstroke last week bringing in Harry Grant. I thought we might have one more week before we needed to get him in. And I mean, look, thanks to his break even being pretty high, he didn't jump up too much, but. Yeah, it was obviously a few other areas in the team, mate, that let you down.
Yeah, well, I was so excited by my Grant purchase that I got a bit excited by it all and made a bit of a mistake with the Laurie news, not knowing whether he was going to play or not. I had Eremea sitting on my bench as enough, and when he got named to play against the Sharks, who have been a bit of a mess, I thought, I'll play this young bloke on the wing for the Storm. They should win pretty comfortably. should jag some meat. We'll sit Laurie on the bench. He's been pretty underwhelming. 60s with tries. Yeah, it didn't quite work out.
Yeah. No, fair enough.
Yeah, you could do
hard luck stories last week, mate.
I put Corey Thompson, didn't I? I just brought him in for 20 points, and now I've got to sell the motherfucker already.
I'll tell you what, did he drop any cash at 20 points, or was his break even still low?
His break even was 50, so yeah, he lost a couple of dollars. So that's the silver line. I've taken a hit in my round 13 numbers, haven't I? Because I've wasted a trade. So that killed me a bit.
Yeah, no, fair enough. But we'll start the wrap up from last week, Bogan. We got those screens up. Who played first last week, boys? I can't remember.
Oh, they were Raiders and the Rabbitohs.
There you go. You guys go for it, boys. I'm playing darts.
Well, all I'll say about the Raiders is they showed some improvement in this game, I think. I think their energy was up a bit, but wow, they made the Rabbitohs lethal left side edge was just, it was like shelling peas, wasn't it, out there down the left?
Boys,
Yeah,
boys, thoughts on, I'm bringing in Cody Walker this week, or I've sort of played with it. Schuster out for Cody Walker.
Oh,
Does he play Origin?
No.
he probably doesn't, but his bye's not till round 17, and Schuster's got a better matchup this week.
Yeah, look, matchups, mate. I don't know. Look, I like class over matchups. Like Schuster's been going great. Don't get me wrong, he's been going fantastic. And I know South probably 3 out of the next 4 weeks have got a bit of a tough run. Cody Walker hasn't hit a ton this year. That's my biggest thing that I'm looking at. Is he's had some really, really solid scores, but we haven't seen that. I'm just wondering when it's going to happen. And Latrell's obviously due back pretty soon.
Yeah.
I own him. I own him, and I sort of half regret owning him, and because
I'm the same.
Yeah, and I mean, he's getting some of those great attacking stats like try assist, line break assists, line break, but he's not scoring as many tries. And I mean, 89 is his best score in about 4 weeks. Last week I was happy with 89, but mate, he doesn't look like he's going to get over 100 because I don't know. This year he's different. He's a bit more like an angry ant. He's not. I don't think his head's right this year, just a little bit. I mean, It looks to me like him and Munster are probably a little bit down on where they've been in prior years. So I wouldn't be rushing to buy Walker at all.
Well, I mean, the only thing I'm looking at is obviously being that he plays round 13, I think if I bring him in and it's sacrificing Schuster who doesn't
play.
They play round 17.
Yeah. So I'm really looking at, if I get Walker in now, I've got that Munster-Walker combination, and I just look at the class through the end of the year. I think regardless of their form now, come the end of the year, they're still going to be the top 2 scorer in 5/8. I've got to believe that. Luai, obviously, probably the only one that is a danger to them. I don't think anyone else is coming up there.
Yeah, I mean, I'd rather own Luai. But, I mean, I think he might get a Jagger spot in Origin. But, yeah, I mean, I understand. It's kind of like Kando going, I'll get Grant. He's not playing 13. He's not going to play 17, but he's just so good. It's just that if Walker had got 2 back-to-back hundreds, I'd get it. But 89 being his best score of 4 weeks, you're looking to explode him,
Yeah, well, I would probably not look to be buying him until after that round 13 bye, because he's not going to play that bye anyway, and he's got a few hard games between now and then. He could potentially be 100k cheaper by that round 14.
Getting round 14 for 100 grand cheaper.
So to just be another wrong decision that I've made this year. That's good. I'm comfortable with that. That's my trend this year, boys.
Yeah, go risky. Bring him in, and he could go and break the record, and then you're a genius.
Yeah, exactly. It was against the Roosters last year, albeit 2 weeks out from the finals, and something different. But hey, let's hope it happens again, and lightning strikes twice.
I think one thing that's better for him is that he's back into 5/8. So I think that he's better there. I worried about him for his scoring potential at fullback. So I think he'll play better. I mean, I think he scores about the same, but he gets his hands on the ball more when he's at right, and he gets a chance. He's got a better chance of scoring a try close to the line, you know?
Yep.
The thing that I like about fullback is that it guarantees he's going to play both sides of the field.
Yeah.
At
boys, what's the news on Cameron Murray's injury?
He's out for a while. 6 to 8, I think, or 6 weeks or something.
Yeah. Okay. Obviously, again, not someone who's been sort of too effective this year, but has been in the past for SC, and I think obviously a little bit disappointing. But probably someone that I sort of had my eye on if the price got low enough. You know, bringing in a class player like that, hoping they turn their form around.
Yeah, he's also an Origin option though. He's not going to play that 17 for you either.
Yeah. Nah, cool. All right, boys, you run through it. I'm done.
Yeah, there's nothing else really on there. I mean, Remus Smith, some people went and took a flyer on Remus Smith, and he's done back-to-back hundreds, which is pretty bloody awesome. Him and Grant. So he got 3 tries, I think. So,
I was pretty happy about that.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, so it stuck out to me. Sean Johnson looks like he was better for the run last week, and it looks like Nick Ora is benefiting from having Sean Johnson. You always thought he would, but his scores have got better. He got 100 last week and then a 75 this week.
Yeah. Having Sean Johnson there always makes that right back rower and right winger so much more relevant. If Johnson's not there, neither of them are even considered. But with him there, he just engages so many defenders and has such a good passing game at the moment. It just brings them right in. Nakora is nothing without Johnson there.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the one thing that I noticed on that game is the drop in points to Teague Wilton. So he was a great cheapie for people. And I think it was in the 30s maybe or the 20s. I can't see on the bench. And I think now he's got the role's gone back now. So I think he's a sell. He's
definitely. That. Yeah, he got a 36. So he's definitely a sell now.
Yep. That's pretty much it for me on that.
Yeah, not too much else other than, just being stoked at Harry Grant.
Yeah, that was a great pickup a week early. I mean, what do you reckon this week? Do you reckon people are going to buy him this week, even though he's not around 13? Do you reckon he'll stay low in the owner?
I think some people will, just like some people are still going to be buying guys like Val Holmes this week. It's looking at the long-term thing. Getting Grant last week allowed him that extra week to score that bigger amount of points than Connor Watson did, who I sold between now and the Origin period. The closer you get, the harder it is to go and buy those keeper players because there's less chance for them to score more points over that 4 versus 3 games and then 2 versus 1 game sort of thing as we get closer.
Yeah. Next game, the Broncos off to a bit of a slow start, weren't they? But they came back and got the chocolates over the Titans. Jermaine Osako, mate, 156 points. I thought the record was on the cards because he had about 30 minutes left in that game where all he did was like one more attacking stat. And he had a horrible start to the game too, but 156. I don't know what his ownership is at, but a fair few people own Osako. And he's going to go up quite a bit in money. He'd be a lovely hold for round 13.
10% teams.
Who else in that game was somebody that stood out? I mean, Haas is 67. I think he's been 60s the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I think that's what you're going to get. That's what you get. If you're paying for him, you're going to get that between 65 to 80 score week to week. There's not going to be many of those 100 scores. There's not going to be many of those 50 scores. He's going to sit right in the middle of that on a weekly basis.
Well, I went the LD version. So Living Tavita Loco finally owns Tavita Pangai Jr. And 71, I was really happy with. It didn't seem like he did too much. I know he wasn't offloading. I was looking for that in the game. I think I noticed one big offload.
I feel like he's just to play a little bit the last few weeks.
Yeah, I mean, and I think he's kept his temperament really well, and I'm really glad I bought him. He looked good to me. On the other side of the field, Peachy. I mean, people have gone Peachy in the last couple of weeks. He looks to be quite good. Would you target? What's he priced at now? Would you target?
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Peachy, 128k with a
Stay
30
away
break
from.
Fuck. Peachy. Tell me what you thought of David Fafita, mate. Mister, I'm afraid of TPJ, so I'll just kick the ball.
Mate, just soft. Just soft. Look, but he's always been that kind of player. If it's not on his terms, he disappears, you know. So I think that'll be something that develops in his game. We know how lethal he can be, but, yeah, very, very soft.
And the Broncos gave every team a blueprint, eh? Just put a thug on him. Put Jack Hetherington on him, who's going to take his head off and scare him. You know, like...
and even the week before, when he went low, when everyone had him as captain, it was the same kind of thing. I can't remember who they played, but he got belted around by a halfback as well, you know. Like, yeah, I think that we've seen it. You can nullify him anyway.
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't go as far as saying that he's a flat track bully, but you would definitely feel more comfortable captaining him at Seabus, and you'd definitely look at who his opposing defender is, because I think if he's up against a good defender, if he's up against a Gerbo, I reckon he has a worse game, you know, like, or someone who's just can cut him down and hit him hard.
Yeah.
But I mean, would you captain him this week? You know, against the Tigers.
Yeah.
Oh wait,
an option for me.
Yeah, he's an option for me too. So I haven't managed to jag one of his fucking good scores, have I? I saw the big score, then I captained him the next week for the low score, and then the week after I was like, well, I'm not going to captain him, and then he got the big score again. So I'll just be happy if I can land him right one time this year. I just really want to get it right one time.
I got his 140 odd.
He's been in. I'm out, boys.
What was that?
There, boys.
Yeah, you got one of them. So yeah, well done to you.
I looped that 140 odd the first time he went big, and to do that I had to sit Sam Walker, who got 120 or something like that. So it ended up costing me 50 points or something.
Yeah. Oh, you wouldn't read about it. But I mean, you know, I remember that week where people had Sam Walker and got the David Fafita captain. So well done to them. But yeah, I mean, I said that on my pod a couple of weeks ago when the Broncos played Penrith. I said, I don't think they've fully turned the corner, but I think they're in the process of turning the corner. I think they're learning to play a little bit tougher. Their attack looks much better. They just, I mean, if they let other teams get 22 points ahead on them, they'll get done by 50. But they've jagged another win, so you know, they seem to be on the slight improve, I think.
The start does seem to be important for them because, like you said, if they do get some points put on pretty quick, then they can usually crumble. That obviously didn't happen this time around because the Titans went off like crazy. It looked like it was going to be a 60-0 flogging. But they were able to pull it back this week, which was very out of their character, and kept it going as well. They only allowed 6 points to the Titans from the 22nd minute, which is crazy with all the attacking ability that the Titans do have. Not they've done much.
Well, the Titans are only on three wins now. You know, the Titans are on 3 wins now, and I think you know, they're one of those teams that everyone sort of thinks they're going better than they really are. They've quite rubbish at times.
Oh, fuck the Titans.
Yeah, fuck the Titans. All right, next game.
Next game. Hold on, fellas. I just mentioned in the chat the fucking pies are flying off the conveyor belt in the background tonight. That's for sure. Trying to keep this together. Next game: Panthers, Seagulls. Panthers continue their winning ways.
Yeah, you go for it, Kando. Give us a rundown.
They did continue their winning ways, but Manly put up a pretty good fight in this game. Considering how they were like minus 150 on their differential after 4 weeks or something, with Turbo coming back, it's just completely turned them around. They're a completely different side. They have had a few injuries this week. They've lost to Pau and Aloye and whatever, but that might still cause some problems going forward. But Brian To'o with 104, most people have him by now. If you don't, I'd be looking to do that as soon as possible. Liam Martin had a pretty good score there with 78. Did he score a try? He did. Yeah, he got a try as well.
And he got that big Greg Inglis tap back, try assist. Yeah.
And for the first time this season, Nathan Cleary's had a down day.
Yeah. Who do you reckon?
Who
Who do you reckon was my captain? Jesus Christ!
It's got to be the first time ever, isn't it?
I know. I mean, I do bitch about it every week. And this is the first week he's ever gone down. But every week I'm like, as if he's going up 20 every week. Come on, you scorers! And I go mental on it. But this week when he went down, I was like, sure enough, he goes down when I captain him. So, I mean, he looked sort of okay in the game, but there just wasn't any junk. The game sort of petered away at the end, and normally that's where Cleary comes in with a try or a try assist, or and he goes up to the 80s, and there wasn't anything for him in that game because it just sort of waned away. Over the other side, Trebojevic, he did streak away for a try, but outcontained, I thought.
Yeah, well, the Panthers' defence is obviously the ultimate in the competition at the moment, and he got that try from an intercept breakaway as well. So the fact that Manly were able to put 16 on the Panthers is pretty impressive, really.
Yeah, I think that they've showed vast improvement. I mean, Schuster keeps continuing. I mean, that was one of his lower sort of scores. Yeah. But I mean, you'll still accept 53 of someone who started at the price range he was.
And Charlie's playing Penrith as well. Like you're starting him, expecting him to just get his base and maybe a couple of offloads and crack into the 50s. And that's exactly what he did. You weren't expecting any more than that against Penrith.
Do you think anyone's going to hang on to Charlie Staines for the bye? Did you just hold him? 25 do you get? Or?
It would be hard to sell him if you've held him for this long.
Yeah.
To a point where we're getting pretty close, and he could realistically jag a try or two in multiple of the games still to come before the bye, because they've got a pretty decent run coming up.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say you wouldn't have him anywhere in your 17. And, I mean, you might miss where he goes and jags a try or two, and you just play him in 13 because, exactly. He's now 300. He's only 10K more than he was starting price.
Yeah, exactly. And I sold him at cheaper than that.
I mean, some people might be thinking, like, just get rid of Staines and go down to that West Tigers, that Cheney with the mullet, and bank 130K. That might get you...
might get you a 20 in round 13.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, and so would, what's his name? But at least you make money off it, That's
what I mean. Yeah, you get 130K out of it, and it's going to get the same score.
Yeah, probably. So... I don't know. But, yeah, I mean, I thought that it was a more competitive game. I think about the Panthers is in the last few weeks, it's just been their class that's got them over the line. They haven't actually looked for a lot of the games in the recent weeks have been really competitive until the class has just kicked in and they've got over the line. Yeah. That game was actually a really good watch, and it was close for most of the game. But, just the fact of looking at all their scores, like Cleary having a quiet game, a tick under 70, no updates. Dylan Edwards, he looks good, I think. I mean, he's not he's not the kind of fullback that's going to get you 200, but he doesn't go a bad score, really, does he?
No, it's always around that same sort of mark. He's between that 60 to 80 very consistently, and as a draft owner, I'm quite happy with that.
Yeah, a lot of people have gone early or have had right from the start. James Fisher-Harris, 64. He's sort of... I have him in the same mould as that Luke Thompson from, the Bulldogs. He's got good leg speed and he'll do his work and he'll land 50s, 60s every week.
The minutes that Penrith can flick around a little bit, so if they're quite a bit ahead, he might get that little bit of extra rest or something like that. But he's generally pretty consistent, but his ceiling's pretty low.
What was the big one from that game for me? I played, instead of Laurie, I played Laurie, what's his name? Oh, I know what his name. Kirk Capewell. He got injured, but he's been named this week, hasn't he?
Well, he was one of my trade-out options, thinking he was gone for a few weeks, and he was What do you think about him playing Origin? Do you think he's going to get a spot?
I think
Pick him at centre.
yeah, with Lindsay Collins out, I really think Kurt Capewell's maybe for him, but I think that he's got good utility value because he can play backline and he's very capable.
5'8"
Yeah, so look, I think if you had him, he's a tempting hold. I mean, I've technically going to sell him this week because I need the money to fix up my Corey Thompson mistake.
Yeah.
But also, I worry about he's definitely injured. So you know how you say the Penrith their minutes fluctuate. I think he's a candidate for less minutes this week, big time.
Yeah, for sure. We'll probably get to that when we get to team lists and stuff.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that was a bit of a kick in the nads that he got injured, and I got what did he get? I think he got 40 still, didn't he?
43 still. He got a line break early, which kind of bolstered the score a little bit, which was nice. But yeah, I'll take a 43 if he went off after like 35 minutes or whatever it was.
Yep.
All right. What's next? Bulldogs, Eels.
Gutho Reno.
God. I've been pushing, well, not really pushing on everyone, that for myself, I'm not going to buy Papali'i because he's gone up 200K. Madison's around the corner. He just keeps monstering it. It's killing me.
Mate, I said on my pod that buy of the year is going to probably be Sam Walker and Isaiah Papali'i, just for sheer scoring power and for what they started at.
Yeah.
He's so expensive now, and I mean, you can't. Who'd buy? People are going to buy him this week. That's $760.
Yeah, I can't do that.
And
I was going to buy Pap at 900.
Yeah, I was going to go Gutho last week. I couldn't afford it, and I was in my head. I was like, as long as Gutho gets 80, I can sort of, with his price rise, I can sort of maybe figure him in my plans and then move Thompson up to the centre wing, but. He's up above 700 now, 730 or whatever. So, yeah. But I mean, I think he's having a great year, Gutho. Personally, I think he's probably been put under pressure by Arthur. It sounds like going, well, we expect that of the Gutho every week. And what's he averaging? 90 points. He's averaging 90.
Yeah, crazy.
So he's having a great year. Sivo looks like in the last couple of weeks, like the attack. The ball's getting to him. What's he at price? I know a few people just took a flyer on him, and
he's got about 200K in the past weeks. He's 576K at the moment.
So he's got up nicely, yeah.
Minus 47 break even still, so he can still go up a fair bit more. But
yeah,
I just can't bring someone in who has a base of 20.
I think about if you think about those players like Charlie Staines, Remus Smith. And Sivo, who can go. They just when they go big, they go really big. What I like about Sivo is he seems to be able to do it more regularly than the others. And I think Reeves might have a little bit of that in him too. So if I'm ever going to take a flyer on somebody who doesn't have a good base, but every now and then they go big, Sivo's my man because when he goes big, he goes like 130. Big, and but I mean. Reed Marnie, he's been a great pickup for people who got him early and went him instead of Brayley's and stuff. He always scores well. Looks like he's a great buy.
Someone you can keep all year for sure.
Yeah, people are going to buy Cartwright still. I thought Cartwright looked all right. Carty.
Well, he's always looked all right. He just hasn't been able to defend in the past.
Defence, and sometimes he does the old brain fart sort of try to do an offload, and he just, but he seems to be like playing inside himself a little bit. So
he looks like he's got a bit more of his confidence back. He's actually running into the line that little bit more. He's just looking a lot more fluent in his movement, how he's going about it. It's looking better. I'm still going to buy someone who's going to play 40 minutes off the bench in the back row. That's.
Some people already took a flyer on him, but I guess he's doing okay so far.
Yeah.
For the Dogs, there wasn't really anything of note. People are not going to own Waddell, DWZ. You're not going to own him, and Tony Avarillo seems to the last couple of weeks in the 50s, but
Yeah.
Luke Thompson, I think that's basically Luke Thompson, meat and potatoes. They got themselves another Tolman, but just a bit of a younger one, and he 55, and that's about it.
That looks like his floor as well.
Yeah.
He was 55, and he got a try in the first game. I think he played and got an 80, but that's not going to happen very often. I expect him to be getting 55, 70, sort of working.
Yeah, but in that game, I think they got over.
Yeah. So in terms of the Dogs, there's not much else really going on there. Flanagan's still failing. Yeah, not much else.
Yeah.
All right. What do we got next?
Oh, the Knights. They got pumped.
Sam Walker.
Sam Walker. I mean,
Oh my god.
the same mistake I made last week, and 163 from a basically rookie kid. 5 try assists.
I didn't get to watch this live. I was at a cricket presentation night, so I was kind of just getting the updates and just watching his score go up and up and up and up. And I was like, what the hell are the Knights doing?
I absolutely fucking hate the Roosters with a passion, but still, with him in the team, it's invigorated by watching, of them for enjoyment. I think he's like unlocked Tupou with those big Harbour Bridge passes that he does, and I think Tupou is a great buy. If your numbers are good for 13, I love. I think he's starting to find his groove, Tupou, and particularly with BMOS out now, I think there's going to be lots of run back meters for Tupou. I think he's good buy. Unfortunate for BMOS with that ACL injury. What a tragedy! And
but let's hope that he stands up off the field, get some proper rehab done, and he can actually have another season next year and finish his career the way he should finish it.
Yeah, I think he deserves it. He's been, I think, if I had to rate the best winger I've ever watched play, just watching, I think he's definitely the best I've ever seen, just for all well-rounded. And I think in the scope of his career, he's been like an 8, 9, 10 out of 10, no matter what club he's played for, no matter what level, whether it be Origin or Australia, he's always put in no lower than an 8. What a great player. But
incredible consistency.
Yep. Crichton, I think he got a try in that game for his 85. It was actually nice to see as a Crichton owner. That's his best score in a while. He's been a little bit down. Not bad scores in the 60s and stuff, but he got a try and 85.
Nice. Standing inside of him, which has been the issue. He's a bit of a passenger. He's not doing a lot. I feel like getting Lachlan Lamb back in would be good for Gus. Another player in there that will actually ball play a little bit more, engage the line a little bit more, allow a bit more space on the outside. I feel like Lamb's going to be a big addition over Hutchison in the weeks to come.
Yeah.
The extended squad? I think so.
Yeah.
We'll see.
On the other side of the Knights, I said in my podcast, I reckon Kevy Walters is the worst coach in the NRL, but I think that this bloke from the Knights is the second worst coach in the fucking NRL. How shit is he, mate? Like, you've got 2 absolute weapons in your team in Best and Ponga, and it seems like they're the ones that are getting the least ball in the back line. And, like, they're just so... I said they look like an LD football team. Like, the Raiders, you got to look like LD NRL teams, and they just seem like they're... there's no class. It just seems real no-frills. And they were just absolutely belted. They just didn't even look... It looked like, they look Reggie's to me. And they didn't look... Their attack doesn't even look good to watch.
They don't have any halves.
Yeah,
so getting the ball to Ponga... And
early ball the best. And
they don't have any halfback. Pearce is gone. Mann's not a half. As much as he has done pretty well Supercoach wise last year, playing in the half, he's not a half. They're just missing an extra ball player. Green's just been slow and.
Yeah, scores wise, Barney got a 63, which is probably. But you'll still take it in a big Frizzell got a good score as well. Brayley he's been scoring 70s, so he was probably, I think that would have been all tackles. There wasn't much. There was no barge over tries, obviously, in their 4, and he's been putting those short balls onto forwards. What's
he actually got for that 60.
Yeah.
He had 40 tackles, a line break, and a few hit-ups. So, yeah.
Wasn't okay for 59, but I mean, you would have, you sold him last week and you got a grand, and that's just a huge upgrade. I think Watson and the way they use the minutes and use him there at the Knights from that bloody, I don't even know what his name is. He's the second worst coach in NRL. But
Brian.
Oh mate, he gets in there and he does his press conference. I'm just like, mate, I could do a better job than him. I seriously could. They've got terrible strategies when they go out and play. It's a surprise if they beat anyone. Clemmer, he got a 58, and some people are going, they can't afford a TPJ or an Isaiah Papali'i, and I think Clem's in the 400s now for a cost.
And he's not really pushing for Origin either. So he's been dealing with a knee injury the last few weeks, which saw his minutes drop back a little bit. But this last weekend, he was back to his normal minutes. He got 62 minutes this week gone. The week before he had 50. The week before he had 42. So the rest of the season's all been around that 60 to 70 mark. So, yeah, he's got those minutes back a little bit this week. Whether that means his injury is improved a little bit or not, or there was other rotation issues, obviously I don't know that. But, he's a decent cut price front row option for the buy.
Yes, he's averaging 60. You know that probably Dan Safini's going to go off to Origin, so there could be good minutes in the buy, and at 470, if you could do a lot worse. So
it's still 61, so there's no rush to even bring him in now.
Yeah. But a good game by the Roosters and young Walker, they flogged them.
Yeah, smashed him. I've always been a big Tupou fan, so I'm happy to see him actually get a decent score there, but I won't be able to bring him in before the bye. And it'll depend.
I think it'll just be a pod, for people, and some people are probably already at 12 and 13, and if you just want a luxury, like you could go like if you want to zig to people's Val Holmes, you could go with Tupou.
Yeah. Well, I still see Tupou as a better Origin prospect than To'o for the moment still. I feel like he adds that little bit more just with his height. He's got that little, he does the same kind of junk runs that To'o does. Maybe not as many meters because
I think the thing that might cost To'o might just be that he's a bit green around the ears, and they might just want to give him one more year. And I think To'o's not terrible under the high ball, but he's not a target for high kicks, whereas Tupou is.
Yes, exactly. Well, if you've got Coates coming up against To'o in Origin, you're going to expect all bombs on the line going straight to To'o with Coates running at him.
Yep. Yeah, so there you go. I think he'd be a smoky for Origin for sure.
So, yeah, we'll see what goes on there with Tupou. If he doesn't make Origin, then he's a massive pickup for that second buy. I'll be all over that one. Right. As well as Akiaho. But, yeah. Moving on. Warriors, Cows.
Nicarima. I make fun of a few people that went and took a little flyer on Nicarima. They're mostly Warriors fans, but
yes,
Nicarima, he's sort of a bit of a yo-yo, but he can go big. When he goes big, he tons up, And he did it in this game. It was really a bit
the fact that he goes 20, 120, 30, 110. It's so frustrating.
Oh, it'd be terrible to own him. But he's probably averaging out okay.
Yeah. Hang on, what's he averaging now? God. 69 average.
Yeah, that's not bad.
That's pretty good.
But it was actually a game where the Warriors actually hung on. I watched this one and I tipped the Cowboys. So when they were coming back, I thought they might have got over the line.
Coming back for sure.
Yeah, and Holmes did that weird kick at the end and absolutely friggin' ruined it for them.
Yeah.
Roger was great for his 112. I mean, for me, number one target for the second bye is going to be Tohu Harris. He might be, a TPJ or Barnett across to Tohu Harris. And you just, because with Tohu, you buy him for that bye, he's going to be one of the best scorers in that round 17 bye, and you just hold him for the rest of the year.
Exactly. That's one thing that people will have to be careful of going into that second bye, is that you've got to target those people that you want to keep to the very end for that round 17 bye. If you're buying people that are going to come in and just play that one bye and you need to get rid of them again, you're going to get yourself in trouble.
Yeah, and if you don't own Tohu now, he's your trade to play for 17, and he's going to finish the year top 3, probably second row forward. So, good score by that Pompey. He looks like a pretty good prospect, but it looks like Murdoch Masilla's getting more minutes. I think that Tavanga's on the out big time.
Well, Murdoch Masilla's out this week.
Oh, he's injured, is he, or dropped?
And Eli Katoa's been named, but we'll get back to that.
Oh, well, there you go. What do you reckon that's going to do for Curran?
Well, I'd say that it leaves Curran exactly where he is. With Murdoch Masilla out, he's not even in the 21. He's obviously got some sort of injury. I can't remember exactly what it was. But with Ellie on one side, whether they swap sides or not, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm going to buy Curran this week. He's 290 because he does not have a very bad floor at all. He's got all the attributes of a great scorer. I think he's looked great in every game that he's played in. He's a real competitor too. So,
and Nicaragua's been doing pretty well with his back row on the right side as well. So it wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing for him to move over to that side.
Yeah. On the other side, just as a rugby league fan, I really like to look at that Murray Tuilagi.
From Benny. Failed concussion protocols.
Oh, there you go. Oh, yeah, he did get knocked out, didn't he? That Tuilagi got a 96, and I think he's up in the 300s now, and obviously he doesn't play around 13, so you wouldn't get him, but he looks like he's a big kid, and he's a big winger, and he beats people one-on-one. I really like the look of him. And I wasn't really following the scores in this game because I don't think I had anyone in there, but I went back to have a look because I was like, it feels like he scored well, that Tuilagi on the wing, and 96, and there wasn't really anything else to. I mean, I think if you went a pat down to a Val Holmes or something, you wouldn't be laughing really, would you? Like, he went from 80s, and in the last couple of games it's been lower, hasn't it? 60s.
Yes. Yeah, well, 62 is not a terrible score. You're not devastated by that score, but it could have been bigger. But the big reason why you buy Val is the fact they're playing the Broncos this week. Yeah.
And I mean, look, if you had Val and you've got him in your centre wing, I think that's value. But if you took him for a fullback spot, 6 in fullback is not ideal. But I mean, those teams just seem like they're at about the same skill level. Taumalolo, I had him down as a mild target for the round 17 and finish the year, but
he's probably going to be 350k by then. By the way, he's being used.
Yeah. So he played 40 minutes on the weekend.
Yeah,
220 minutes since. When you're in a hunt for coming back and winning the game, it seems like it's a battle of wills, and Peyton's just a stubborn old thing, and he's not going to use him. Peyton's happy to lose games instead of giving 20 more minutes to the Premier.
Second, you didn't have the best player on the field. It's weird.
Yeah, it is a bit weird, but that's that game.
All right, last game.
Dragons Tigers.
Right. I don't think I own. Oh, that's right. I had one player in that game, but I didn't play him.
And that'll be the 119, wouldn't it?
That'll be the 119, yeah.
Same. I didn't play Laurie, and that really stings.
It cost me 400 spots in the top 1,000. Killing me.
Probably cost me like 1,000, But he was good. I think there's big problems for the Dragons after their 4-game start. I mean, they got that big Kerr in second row, and he got found out in that game. And I think that's part of the reason why Nofo's score was a bit down. because naturally they were going to attack that way, and they were absolutely ripping them open. All game they kept going that way, and Laurie was into it, and even the debutant got over for a try, nearly got over for a second one. There's problems at the Dragons. They seem to be very brittle in defence.
Yeah. Well, now you've got Lomax out as well on the edge, who's usually a pretty decent defender, an attacking option, goal kicker, so that it's not looking good for them going forward. But I'm surprised. I thought the Dragons would still have enough to beat the Tigers, but the Tigers stood up a lot more than I expected, and Dewey's been playing pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, I was spewing being a NoFo owner because Dewey is a hog. He thinks, but I mean, look, you know what Dewey is. He's a runner, so he runs. And on that side, you got Joey, you got Dewey who runs, passing it to Luciano, who runs. He can offload, but he's mainly a runner. And then Talau, all he did was just step back inside every single run. Just step back inside, and he got smashed by the defense. But he never tried to create an overlap and pass to his winger. He just runs back inside, and it really cost. It cost Nofaluba, and eventually Nofaluba just was taking 2 runs a set out of dummy half. It was the only way he was going to get the ball.
Well, he's 145k down on his starting price, and he's still got a break even of 102. Yeah.
So, I mean, you could get him just on the tick into round 13 if you want. But, I mean, he's not actually scoring. Last week he got I think he's got 189 in there. But the scores haven't been fantastic. And I think that the way that you can see from these teams that are not doing so well, you get a lot of sticky hands. The teams that are confident don't mind passing the ball. Like you look at Penrith, there's just flick passes, there's passes out to wingers. And, I mean, you do get You've got Crichton, who's a bit of a hog. I'll tell you which team is the perfect example of it is the Melbourne Storm. They don't give a fuck who they pass it to. They're all just, it's interpassing. It's trying to improve your other players' positions. If someone's in a better position to you, you get the ball off to them. You're always looking to promote the ball. And I just think in the Tigers, there's just a little bit of, it looks selfish. It looks like a little bit selfish play.
Well, it can look like that because if you're not doing well, players can feel the pressure to do something extra, so they can take that pressure onto themselves. I've got to go and do something. I'm going to go and do this extra little thing to try and break the game open or whatever, and that's where the error comes. Rather than doing the percentage play or whatever, they're doing that loose play which causes the ball to get turned over, and then bang, it's getting points put on you again.
Yeah, well, I mean, they didn't look too crispy to me, and I think it was more a bit of, one team was shit and the other one was just less shit on the day, and the Tigers got over the line. Joey Leilua come back he got back in the team, 76. Where's Bloor? Is Bloor going to ever get picked in this team? I've kept him on my MPRs.
He's in the 21. He's named on the extended for this week.
I mean, if you've got Luke Garner, why do you need to keep him in there? He's a terrible footballer.
Mm.
But, well, it's big worry times.
Depends
Hey?
It depends how Blaw's going in Red. I think he started off the bench for the first few games in Reggie's.
Yeah. I mean, I think that he's got a bit more offer than what they're getting. Yeah, but anyway. Yeah.
All right. Moving on.
Alrighty. First game Thursday. Rabbitohs up against the Storm. Should be a cracker. Rabbitohs got a few out though.
Yeah, there's a few changes in there. Quite a big list of injuries for the Bunnies with Murray, Campbell Graham, Jackson Paulo. Who else was out? There was one other one. Can't remember off the top of my head. But, we've got Jai Arrow coming in at lock. Alex Johnson moving back to fullback. Cody Walker going back into the halves, and the entire outside backs have done a complete shift. Stephen Masters and Tane Milne, who gets his club debut, I believe, on the wing. And Braden Burns finally gets another recall with Dane Gagai in the centres.
Good on him. He obviously had a big rough foul run with injuries, so it's good to see him get back to the first grade team. I don't mind some of the changes. I like Alex Johnston at fullback personally, and I like Walker in the 6. So if you lose someone, I think that A-Ray's a fair loss for them. But I mean, you know the class of Benji, and I don't mind Arrow in at lock. So I still do think it's going to be a real good game. I do think that you've got to be favouring the Storm.
Oh, for sure. With those injuries, like you would probably already back the Storm anyway, but with all those injuries to South, you've got to expect that the Storm's going to get over them.
Yeah, in this game, you reckon anyone stands out to you for a VC or a C?
Harry Grant.
Harry Grant. I mean, I was thinking that there's a possibility for Walker maybe on a flyer. He actually is one of the weird ones who doesn't mind. He likes the solid matchups, like the big matchups. But I won't be
this week for this matchup due to all of their team carnage. But he scored 80 on them in the first round, and you can't really bench someone who's 600k, can you?
No. But so no VCs or Cs for me in that game. But I think it'll be a ripper. I think Harry Grant was a great purchase by you last week. He's taken that number 9 spot back again.
I like that Smith is in at lock as well.
Yeah.
I would be more concerned about Grant if Smith was on the bench.
Yeah.
Because
I like Brandon Smith at lock too. I like the way Melbourne looks with him at lock.
Probably changes once Finucane gets his fitness up and that sort of thing. He might come back into that starting side with Smith going back to the bench. But at the moment, having Smith starting at lock is only good news for Grant.
Yeah. People who bought Hines will be glad that Pappenhausen is out for another week. Hines becomes a bit of an AE problem when Pappenhausen comes back because he'll likely only get that 10, 15 minutes off the bench. I think that you'd probably start to bleed cash there, but you'd still have him for round 13, which is he's a great play in 13, but an extra week with him at fullback is...
Because now it's too late now. You're probably only going to get one game out of him, and then the Origin round, where you're probably going to end up with him being potentially less cash net at round 14 than he is now. So last week, at least, you've made that little bit of cash out of it, got some points out of it, and you'll get another game now.
Yep. That's it. I think it'll be a tight one, but I'm going to go Storm just slightly in that one.
Yeah, I'm backing Storm. I still think that the Storm will probably get home comfortably in the end.
Yep. All right. Next one.
All right. You take that for a sec, Addo. I'll be back.
Panthers versus Sharkies.
Yeah. I think that, this one is going to... It's at the Panthers' home stadium there. And, the Sharks have been... Whilst they've been okay in putting up a fight, I just don't think, in recent weeks, like Manly last week was a bit of a challenge for Penrith, but I reckon that the Panthers are going to put a score on the Sharks this week. What do you reckon, Bogan?
On paper, yeah, I reckon you're right. But the past few times we've said that about the Panthers, they've actually had pretty close games. Obviously, they had that. It was almost, you could almost count it as a loss, nearly losing to Brisbane. So I'm not going to say it's going to be a bloody affair, this one, but I think Panthers will do it, probably not even get out of second gear.
Yeah, I think at home because they're entertainers, I think they like to smash it up at home. So I reckon in this game, a VC, if you've got Luai or Cleary, are probably good VCs because, I can see it being a game where it'd be like, I don't know, 40-18 or something like that, And I think that To'o's going to have some joy out there, and I think Luai and Cleary are good VC options. I think the Sharks are not going to... the way I see it now, I thought that Manly was a harder matchup for Penrith away than Penrith at home to the Sharks. So I expect that the Sharks are going to have a rough old night there on the Friday night. T. Wilton is on the bench there, we see. So in recent weeks, he was in the centres, and he's been a great cheapie for those. I had to give him a miss, but others have owned him. But you would expect...
He's, I've got him in my team. He's went up. People who've jumped on him have got 165k out of him. So...
But he's going to start to leak it now.
Yeah.
On the bench. Until Wade Graham gets another head knock, probably. Yeah.
Any thoughts on that one, Kane, before we move on?
The only real thing that affected my team is the fact that Capel was named. I'm assuming you covered that to some degree, but
you're going to hold him, you think, if he's...
Potentially. He's got a pretty high break-even. I think it's in the 80s or something like that. So he's still potentially a sell. He's likely to play on the bench for Queensland. So he's not going to play 13 for us. He could potentially be someone that I could turn into a Bradman Best or something like that.
And I think that, for me, my plan was always to go Capewell to a Best or something that in the lead up to 13, because I did expect that Capewell would go off to Origin. And with that rib injury, I think that you might see some more minutes for the other players. Like Liam Martin was actually great last week. So if I had Kurt Capewell, I might hold him this week, but I don't know if I'd play him just simply because of the minutes that they rotate at Penrith. You've got someone that's carrying a slight injury. It just makes sense to give them some less minutes.
Yeah, well, one thing that I'm considering is turning Condon and Ryan James into someone like the Tigers winger Sini and Best. So I can bring Best in and still keep Capewell and just move Capewell up into the bench on the back row.
If you can keep someone of Capewell's caliber, with the 80, you think that he might even lose a couple of dollars unless he does one of those attacking, gets one of those attacking stats with a try or something. But if Capewell by shock horror didn't get picked for Origin, you're going to have Yo going out for Origin and Cleary and, so he'd probably have good minutes. But I really think he's got just based on what he did in Origin last year.
You feel like he's got a spot.
Yeah. So
probably going to play off the bench, which also brings into round 14 calculations. So if you're expecting to play 20 to 30 minutes off the bench, then he's likely to back up, which is another thing that a lot of people are not really considering with players like your fullback rotation players, your Tedesco, your Ponga, your Turbos. They're likely to play 4 games in Origin and be backing up 3 days later, potentially. I'd say that most of them would be rested.
Oh, yeah. I think that if this year proved anything, it shows that with the speed of the game, you can't afford to mismanage players and their health. So I think in previous years they would have probably rested a playing 80 in Origin as well, but especially this year with the speed of the game, and players like Tedesco, who has been out with injury, and Turbo and that, who have come back from injury, Pap, who's injured. They'll be rested. So, someone like Capewell who's going to play limited minutes will come straight back in, you'd think.
The reason why I was so interested in bringing Pap back straight away is the fact that if he plays Origin, he's going to be a utility.
Yeah,
probably. So he, of the top 4 fullbacks, we'll leave Gutho in 5th, Benny.
Reno.
Of the top 4 fullbacks, he's the most likely to play around 14.
And I think that he's head and shoulders probably going to finish number 1 fullback, average-wise for the year. So if you can come straight out of Origin and you get Pap and everyone else is, you're not going to, if you own Teddy or Turbo, you're going to probably hold them even though they're rested. And you've got an advantage. Yeah. Yeah, good point.
Yeah, so that does open up a loop opportunity and that sort of thing as well. But, I think the potential for Pap to back up in that round is something that not a lot of people have really considered.
Sort of adds a tick to the things that you tick off when you go, is that person a buy or not?
Yeah.
Limited minutes in Origin and not going to have to be sat out is a big one. The Eels versus the Roosters. This should be a good game. Although the Roosters just keep on getting injuries, don't they?
Hang on. Benny's laughing at me.
You play 70 in Origin. Yeah, well, you'd never know your luck, would you? Right.
Yeah, the Roosters just cannot catch a break, seriously. The injury after injury. Lindsay Collins has been a massive player for them this year, giving them really good go forward, been one of their top forwards, even over your top guys like your Takiahos and Maria Hargreaves. Collins has had a lot more impact.
Yeah, he's great. He's a great up-and-comer, and I think he's one of those ones that you never sort of talk about when you talk about a win, but I think the Roosters will notice not having him on the field for what he's done.
Sure.
He's a real up-and-coming front rower. Yeah, you got...
Hopefully he can get back. The media has just immediately jumped to he's played his last game sort of story, but he's been a pretty big fighter for his whole career to continue his career. So I just hope that
he was still in red hot. He was still red hot form too.
Exactly.
But where does it get to the point where a lot of these injuries, where the Roosters, it might be fortunate for them to have someone be able to retire injured, salary cap wise.
Help on this year.
Yeah, I think that both the Morris boys went there on less money so that they could play together and that they could be a threat for a premiership. So I don't think they were on huge money. But, I mean, I think that he'll be felt. I mean, Ikavalu is a great player, but I think Morris is even, if he was still willing to play Origin, he would have played Origin this year and last year. Been picked to
easily play.
So I think that's a loss. I think Collins, they've lost two really quality players, and I'm not willing to put a line through the Roosters for the year, but it's going to be tough going to rip a premiership out of this year with the losses that they've had.
And then you add on Verrills, who's just had a semi-detached retina.
Yeah, that sounds awful.
So that's apparently 4 weeks. NRL Physio was saying about 4 weeks potentially. It could be one of those ones that he comes back really quickly, or it could be 4+. So he's a massive loss for them. Really good quality service. Marshke's just makes so many errors, gives away penalties all the time.
He's a Reggie's 9. He's a Reggie's 9.
Definitely.
I think that makes it a worry for Tedesco, because I think that Verrills is a link player to Tedesco.
Well, the problem with Tedesco going forward is that in the past with Keary and they've obviously lost Collins now, with their big forwards, they played very fast and very direct up the middle. And Keary was a big exponent of that. And you could see a lot of the time, even when a ball went shifting to the right, as soon as the ball was past Keary, he was already organising the next play sort of thing. So their speed of play was incredible. Without Keary there, they've slowed down a lot.
Yeah.
Tedesco's not getting the space that he had before. They're not getting the go forward they had before. They're not making those line breaks up the middle for Teddy to be able to support for. There's just so many things that are becoming detrimental for Tedesco's game. And then you add on the fact that Sam Walker loves a cutout pass.
Yeah, I think that's a huge thing. I mean, it's great for Tupu, but it's not good for Tedesco, because he's getting those big wide passes out, and it's Morris and Tupu are scoring well, but Teddy's one of those. He's up the middle, he follows the ruck, and
sure.
Yeah. So I do think that I favour Parramatta Eels just the way they've been playing. I don't like to say that I like the Eels, and
I thought you hated.
I just love to hate the Eels, but they've actually looked really slick. I think that their forwards have been, I mean, imagine what they had in their mind when they signed Papali'i. I definitely don't think that they thought they were going to be getting what they've got out of him. They've just shocked him. He's surely shocked them.
They were completely expecting just another random interchange forward that's just going to come on and fill a spot until the starters come back on.
And I mean, people who bought him for 400 and everything that kept happening, like he's going to go back to the bench when Maddo's back. You got Sean Lane and Maddo, and he's going to get 50 off the bench. You'll still get good minutes. Not going to get everything that you've been getting off him. And I was saying, mate, there's no reason why he's going to lose his starting spot, and it'll be Maddo or Sean Lane that go to the bench. And actually, Lane played bloody awesome last week in just coming off in impact off the bench.
Yeah. Well, I do feel like Parramatta's probably going to get over the top of them. They've just had too many changes, too many injuries, too many key players being affected. Parramatta's on a bit of a roll. I don't think it's going to be a touch-up by any means, but
I think that this will be one that the Eels would have circled on the calendar just because, those organisations that are run wonderfully. And, I mean, you think about how much the Roosters have lost. It's still a pretty good bloody 17 if you think about it. So I think that the Eels will have their heads switched on, I'd expect it, but particularly if you want to push forward your premiership credentials. Like, if you want to win your premiership, you've got to upset a Melbourne Storm, or you've got to get your wins over, the Roosters and beat some of your fellow top six teams.
Yeah.
So I think that they'll be on. I really, I'm surprised to see Nathan Brown is named after last week.
I thought he was gone for weeks.
Yeah.
What's going on there?
Hip. I thought he did a hip joint or something, but he's back. He's in. So
the hip pointer, if that's what it was, that's what they said live and that sort of thing, that it was a hip pointer injury, which is a direct impact injury right on the point of the hip. So you can get a lot of inflammation in there. It can be pretty big with movement. It gets really inflamed and that sort of thing. So it can take that little bit of time for the bruising inflammation to settle. So even though he's named, I'm not confident that he'll be fully mobile and able to play.
And it's a really painful one if you cop a whack on it, I think. So
it's one of those ones that you'd probably have to get needled, and I don't know how well you'd go with a needle in your leg, like in your hip. That's going to impact your movement and
run like a mongo in the leg. Yeah, well, I think it'll be a closer one than a blowout. It won't be a blowout, I wouldn't think, but I'm going to tip the Eels. And I don't know if I'd think anyone for a VC or C in this. I just think you'd just be happy if Gutho goes out and gets an 80, and you've got. I mean,
you just want your 70 from Gus.
Yeah, I mean, is anyone holding Paulo? Do you reckon? What the hell, mate? Like, what a disappointment.
I didn't want to look at him.
I tell you unequivocally wherever Josh is, this year's winner of the fucking Liam Knight Award is Junior Paulo. What's Junior Paulo averaging? It must be 40.
He's actually averaging like 59.
I was going to say, he had some big scores early on.
The average is 57 point. Well, let's see what his round 3 average is.
Yeah, not good. It would be probably sub 40.
His 3-round average is 36.3.
Yeah.
His 5-round average is 42.4. So the fact that he averages 57 means that he started really high and he's just gone off a cliff.
Yeah, it's been terrible. I bought him after round 2 when he was looking like a world beater. I bought him instead of David Fafita because he was at a better price point and looking like with the front row being weak. I'm like, I'll get this. Junior Paulo is absolutely killing it. He's offloading everywhere, busting tackles, scoring tries. He's a beast.
He's going to play more minutes this year. Yeah, I think I started the year with him. I got the 100, the 84, the 66, the 64, and then I think I Yeah, I sold him after the 37. He's gone 37, 39, 41, 29.
Well, for me, thankfully, I've held. So Tino's playing the Tigers this week. He's going to be busting to go out and prove a point. I feel like he's going to have a big game, and I can now bench Paulo and not aim
I
myself.
mean, you never know with Tino as well, because unfortunately, Tino is he doesn't have an offload, and sometimes all he gets is runs over 8 meters and tackles, but he could be so much more than meat and potatoes, but sometimes he can score really average. I think
he had a couple of average scores, but he got moved out to centre.
That's right.
He got moved out into the back row on the other game, and that was when Fafita was getting all the ball.
Yeah.
So all the ball was going left to Fafita, and Tino was out on the right edge getting nothing. So,
I think he'll definitely be pumped for this game because he's had 2 weeks off, and it's a bit of a softer matchup. So, but anyway, on this game, I think I wouldn't VC or C anyone. I've got Crichton, and I don't have Tedesco. I mean, for me, what does old mate Paulo cost now?
Oh, he's in the
423. So he's gone down so much. You might as well just bloody hell.
Okay, less than when I bought him with Bar.
Yeah. Well, he's going to probably play Origin too. Do you think?
Not on form.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I'm holding him now because he's lost so much cash. I'm holding him now in the hope that his terrible form means he doesn't play Origin.
Yeah, we might as well. All right, that's that game.
All right, enough of that one though.
Oh, the Raiders.
I'll tell you what. Surely there needs to be some talk if the fucking Raiders can't beat the Knights.
I'll say this here. After 4 losses, you might as well count us as specials this week. We're not going to go 5-0. We've got wives on there complaining about bench use.
Can I have a fucking rant about that?
Go on.
Ricky Stewart having a go at Joey Tapine because his missus fucking cracked it on social media. Here's the thing. Being a Camp Barron, I won't go into alleged discretions of Ricky Stewart in the past. But he is a fucking renowned, arrogant prick. And if you can't take fucking criticism from someone's fucking trophy misses, that's fucking completely unprofessional. And to fucking tear Joey Tapine down for something that his missus said is fucking ridiculous.
I think Ricky came out today in the press conference and said, "Look, everyone's saying that I had it out with Tapine that's false. We have had a word about it, but it's been a bit more of a laughing word. We've had a bit of a giggle about it, and we're all sweet. We're not going to let something like that."
Yeah, but he's not going to come. He's not going to come out in the media and say, "I'm a massive egomaniac that chucked a fucking hissy fit." And you know what? What sounds fucking more realistic?
I bet you this week they're going to play Tapine more minutes just to try to make it look like, But, I mean, I don't know if anyone knows this, but Josh Hodgson stepped down as captain.
Okay.
Yeah, because I heard that on some of the Raiders forums I'm on. He did that about a week or 2 ago. So he's out. You've got George Williams, who's a bit homesick. And, things aren't really good at the Raiders. I think that when this year they've definitely got an attitude problem. I think it's hard to be up and be sort of prelim and grand final and just keep doing it year after year after year. And I think that this year they've just struggled for the motivation. And, coaches, you do the old what North Queensland Cowboys guys do, and you can lose a dressing room. And I don't know if Ricky's lost the dressing room, but he's definitely got some people offside. And just the way he's using his bench has been so bizarre. Like, watching the games, I just don't understand the way we're using our bench. And the way that the amount of minutes that he's leaving some of our forwards on the field, our energy it's fizzing us out of the game, and I just we're up against the second worst coach in the comp, so surely the Raiders get over the line. But
where does we stand in that coaching order at the moment?
Ricky?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, he's got to be when you start the year as premiership favourites, you're doing a bit of the Seabolds, aren't you? Like coach of the year one year and then down in the friggin' toilet the next year. So, look, the Raiders, Josh Papali'i is back, and I think he'll have a ripper this game. I like Corey Horonara in the second row with Whitehead, but he missed 5 tackles last week, CHN, and
still gets kicked.
Yeah. But, I think the Raiders, look, they're both desperate sides, so it should be a hell of a game. And I don't think the Raiders, we've been defending very poorly, but we can't go. We've lost 4 in a row, so I like to think that we're going to be hungry for this game. But it could go either way. I think that the biggest advantage for us is that it's Kurt Mann and Phoenix Crossland in the halves. Pretty
rough.
Yeah, that could be a big bonus for the Raiders.
It hurts Bradman Best's prospects as a purchase for this week as well.
Yeah. So, I mean, in this game, I would be very happy if I owned Ponga to VC him or maybe see him. The Raiders, even if they win this week, we're averaging in 30 points a game. Over.
Well, I know Wilfred's going all in on Ponga again after his captaincy of 40 points for Ponga last week.
Well, I mean, I think this game is primed for Ponga. If the Raiders do let it in close to their 30, Ponga will have his hand in 20 plus points of the Knights.
Yeah.
And it's
Barney.
So it's on the road. It's no team has the home ground. It's in Wagga Wagga. And it could you could flip a coin. As a Raiders fan, I'm not expecting a win, but I'm gonna be really optimistic and say lock it in. We're gonna win.
Okay, nice. All right, next up.
Tigers versus fucking Titans.
Oh,
Wait for it, mate. Oh, you should see these games on Saturday. It's Raiders Knights. You're up first, and then you go into this humdinger here.
Is it going to be like 34-32 or something like that, you reckon?
Probably.
It's going to be an 80-all draw.
Well, the Titans have not been good, but I think that Tino, he seems to be their forward leader. So I think him being back will be a big thing for them.
I'm backing him for a big game.
Yeah. I think I remember back to the game that they played against the Raiders. I watched those games very closely, and he stood up to our whole pack, basically, Tino, and I think he's the kind of person, being their forward leader, even though I don't know if that's to say that, but he definitely seems like he is. I think that being off for the 2 weeks, he'll want to come back and really lead the way for them. So I think he's a big play. What do you think about, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to just straight see, I mean, Tigers are probably one of the softer matchups, big time.
Yeah.
So, even though it's at Campbelltown.
You feel like he's going to score a try, don't you? And if he scores 1, he's going to get 100.
And, I mean, he copped a bit of criticism. I don't know if he looks at the socials or not. But he was copping a bit last week. 3 runs in the first half from, your $1.25 million man. It's a bit lazy. So, when you get called lazy and, you give some of your wage back, you go out and rip in.
Even when he was at the Broncos, he was never a base player. He was a 35 base player at the Broncos, and then
he was on 500.
Say, there you go, do your thing, go.
He was on 500k. He was on 500k a year then.
Yes, that's true. But like the fact that he's getting paid 700k more doesn't change who he is as a player.
It should. It should. I mean, I think if you're the market,
he's doing it with a slightly fancier haircut now. So,
well, to be completely fair to him, he's at the top of the try scorers list for the competition. So, pretty good effort for a back row.
I think that with him, it's got to be runs. I don't think he's a big tackling second rower, but if David Fafita is only taking 6 runs a game, David, you're not earning your 1.25. David Fafita needs to make 20 runs a game.
Oh, 20's a bit rich, but 15.
15, I'll take 15. But if David Fafita has 15 runs, he's going to break the game open in those 15 runs. It's just effort. It's his effort plays. And I think, I think for me in this game, away from Seabus, I'd be happy to VC him, but I don't know if I'll see him. I've got another captaincy favourite that I think for this week, but I think Fafita would be a fair captain.
Coming up soon.
Yeah. I think he'll be probably one of the top 2 Cs this week. Probably be the usuals, Cleary and Fafita up high.
And Turbo.
Over the other side, I think it's a good matchup for Laurie too, personally. I think the Titans defensively led a little bit, and I'm not making the same mistake again. I'm just going to play Laurie for potential.
It's also the fact that Osako just put 150 points on against the Titans.
Yeah.
You've got to expect that the Tigers have watched that video and realise that the edges have been a little bit vulnerable. But
I'm hoping that Mbai being there, because Mbai is a really good talker on the field. I think that's part of the reason why I play fullback and stuff. I hope he calls for a bit of ball, and he's got ball handling. He can pass the ball too. So I'm hoping for a big one out of Nofaluma. I think that you've lost. Who did the Titans lose for Firma to be in there? They've lost a centre.
Oh, they lost CT, and Sammy was at centre.
That's right. Yeah. I know that. I think everyone that you've got, you would have in that game plays, or any people who have owned Jake Simpkin have probably broken some phones, I'm sure.
Yeah, you can't play him now. Not with Little on the bench. It could be a 50-50 split completely.
Yeah, it could be 50. And even like Simpkins basically scoring 50 when he's getting the full 80.
Yeah.
So
the other thing with the Titans side, with Firma, they're named at centre. We've also got Esan Masters named in the extended squad.
Yeah, he just got a instant transfer.
And there's also the potential that Tyrone Peachy goes into that centre spot with someone like an SESA coming in at lock or something like that. So that I expect there might be a change to that centre position come game day.
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised that Firma went there and it wasn't Peachy, but I think that what they're getting from Peachy at lock and his ball play and that he, it's the mould, the Watson and the Peachy. And Peachy was doing Watson before Watson was doing what Watson's doing at Peachy. Like Peachy's perfect for that. So I'm glad to see that they left him there. And
he's good for the team. He's not that great for David Fafita because he shuffles out to one side. We'll see the people out to the left and then just duck back into the middle.
And he zigzag runs often. He runs one way if there's nothing for him. He runs the other way.
Yeah, so he doesn't like to pass a whole heap. So those sort of middle forwards that take the ball up and then do the pass before the line, he's not that guy. Instead of that pass before the line, he's just dummying and going back on the inside. So that's where Fafita missed a few of his runs last week.
Yeah, well, I think it's going to be a high-scoring one. So
yeah, for sure.
Strap in.
Overs.
Yep.
All right.
Fucking hell.
Quality one.
What a Saturday it is.
Yep.
There'll be points on Saturday. That'll be something.
Yeah. I think I've got a housewarming on Saturday, and I wasn't very happy about it because I like a Super Saturday. But when I saw these games, I was like, oh yeah, well I'll come along. So there will be points, I think, but they're not the most exciting viewing.
Well, it makes Valentine a very interesting pickup for this week.
Yeah. I mean, he should score well. I mean, they were a bit underwhelming last week, the Cowboys, and the Broncos showed good energy. I think it'll be one that it'll be an interesting watch.
This match, one that I'm actually was quite interested in as a smoky captain was Pangai. He's going to be running at Drinkwater and Condon.
How's Ben Condon last week scoring his 17? I mean, everyone was
Actually updated. I think he ended up with 23 or something like that. But
everyone who's bought Condon was like, see, he wasn't a trap, but he's already peaked. He's peaked.
yeah, 350 peak.
Yeah, I can't even get rid of him this week, so I'm going to have to get him.
40. So, like, he's playing the Broncos. There's potential that he could actually score a try again and maintain price. If he doesn't, he's only going to go down 10, 15K. So,
yeah, so, I mean, I think it'll be a high-scoring game. Malolo, let's see if he gets more than 40 minutes. He's going to go down. You're going to be able to pick up Malolo for round 17 for under 400K.
yeah. Oh, how exciting.
Yeah. I mean, but unless his minutes get better.
We're hoping that he continues to play those crappy 40-minute games and they keep losing by less than 6 points a game and realising, we might put our best player back on a little bit more, come around that bye time, and when it gets around to then, he'll be ripe for the picking.
Yeah, well, they're going to get enough losses that eventually... it's kind of like what I said about Fafita is I know that they go... Coaches like, we've got Jason here for another 6 years or whatever. It's like, well, you're not going to, mate. Keep losing all the games and you'll be gone after a year.
Yeah.
He's only signed a shorter contract. So Malolo is going to outlast you, mate. Like, go in and make a name for yourself as the coach, and get the most out of him. You know?
Look, to be completely fair, they've won more games than I expected them to at this point.
Well, they had a pretty soft draw to start with, and no one sort of gave him a chance this year. So, I mean, I like some of the things that he has done, but I think that Malolo getting 20 more minutes in that game was a win. That's a win.
Yeah.
So, like, even if you're playing 40 every couple of games, just so that he has lower games, you don't have to do 40 every week. Like, get him out there for 60 when the game's on the line, or even if you plan to get him for 40, get him on there because you want to get meters up the middle. That's how the Cowboys get their meters up the middle.
I feel like when he's out there, this is something I've kind of thought about for 12 months or so. He kind of stifles their attack a little bit because they always want him to have that hit up, kind of play four. They want that good hit up so that they have nice amount of space for the kickers to kick the ball. So usually on play four is when teams will go on the attack. They'll actually try and get around a team or create some space or something like that. Well, 3 and 4 are the times where they try and attack. And it's like they're setting up for Tamalolo to have the fourth hit up ready for the kick on the next set, which I just feel it really stifles their ability to create points.
Yeah, maybe, but otherwise they're playing fifth tack 40 metre line,
Well, I think tactics-wise, he needs to have a hit up before then, is my point.
I mean,
he needs to get early hit up in the set to get the set off to a good run so that the not-so-good forwards actually have a bit of momentum to work off rather than having him at the back end of a set, closing down the end of the set for no real reason because they're going to kick it anyway.
Yeah, to me, when you take Tamalolo out of that forward pack and you just say put on Burr, Cohen Hansen's not a meter reader, although I think he's played better in the front row than he did in the second row. Jordan McLean was an Australian representative, but I reckon he's the shittest front row nearly in the comp.
He just completely disappeared. He was looking so good for a while there.
Yeah, he looks really slow. I mean, Shane Wright and Condon, they're not meter readers, and it's no wonder they can't get up the field. They just can't get up the field. Molo and Tamalolo are the ones that are meter readers to me in that team.
Yep.
And I just, to me, they haven't picked a team that allows them to play Tamalolo for 40 minutes.
Well, I've owned Condon for a few weeks now. I've even seen him on the field.
Yeah, he's a passenger.
Shane Wright.
I think it's that try.
I don't even know what he looks like.
Yeah, I mean, that's my point. I mean, I like Robson's a pretty solid dummy half. He gives away good ball. He's got good ruck recognition. And I just, to me, and the Cowboys just don't get up the field. And for that reason, I think that the Broncos they're starting to warm into what their strengths are. And you look at that pack with Lodge, Haas, TPJ, Carrigan. Ricky's sort of like their Condon. He's the one that can streak away for a try, but they've got front in their pack. They've got meter eaters, and you've got ball play in Pangai, and to me, I don't think that the Cowboys are going to improve this year unless Lolo plays 60, at least two out of 3 games. But
I see this game as a bit of a flip of a coin. I can't really pick a team that I think is going to win.
Yeah, same. I mean, I think that the Broncos will not want to give them a 20-point head start.
Yeah. I feel like it'll be like a 28-24 sort of finish. Like there'll be a few points in there, not quite as many as the Titans-Tigers game, but still a few points in there and pretty close in the end.
Yeah, one good thing for the Cowboys is that Old Mate in the number 7 is out. Hampton. He's terrible.
There's like one more games with him at halfback than they did for anyone else.
As a halfback, you can have him as a running 6, but as a 7, he's bloody terrible. I mean,
I had him for the entire season last year.
I just won my bet with Joshy off him, and that was it. Averaging.
I couldn't loot all year because I had Hampton on my team the whole year, and he had no value for me to be able to trade him out. So he just got stuck there the entire time. He went up about 150k, and he'd lost that entire 150k all in the period that I owned him.
Payne should have a good game there, I think, particularly against a pack like that. I think there's meters for Payne Haas there. I think he's obviously going to go to Origin, but I mean, he's one of those ones you want to probably save up your sleeve so that you can finish the year with him, with his consistency. Should be a high-scoring game, but yeah, flip a coin. Who wins?
Shields is saying that Hampton and Knight Hall of Fame.
Yeah, Hall of dog shit fame.
All right. Manly Warriors. Should be another interesting. Manly have lost, like I said before, Alawai and Kapau, which they're in very soft. A few names there.
Well,
played.
you're roboting a bit there, Kane, if you just want to repeat what you just said.
Okay, I'll go back.
Yeah.
Manly have lost their front row forwards in Aloy and Kapau, which makes their forward pack look a lot weaker, really. They've got Cade Cust and Sully on the bench, so that means they got Sadler and Sipley as their forwards coming into the rotation. So I don't really know how they're planning on using that rotation or whether it stays like that or not.
Interesting.
That's an interesting thing, mostly for someone like Turbo. If they're potentially losing quite a lot of go forward, then he might not have the space that he would have had in previous weeks. The Warriors usually have a pretty big pack. They're a pretty heavy pack. So yeah, I feel like that actually it closes the gap quite a lot. I would have normally expected the Warriors to get beaten pretty comfortably by the Eagles with Turbo in the team.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'll say this much for Manly. I actually really like Taniela Paseka. I think he's a great up-and-comer.
Yep.
I've really liked that Pomoli Alakatau. Alakatau.
He played too.
It's great.
For Sirenen.
Yeah, I mean, he's. I think I've been impressed with them. I don't mind Kepi as well. I mean, they'll have to. What they really haven't got there is a forward leader, and the two backs on the bench is weird as So
very.
But I think Tommy will be my captain. I think that even if he's turn up and they play well, I don't think that they're not not a defensive powerhouse.
No, they're not doing what the Panthers did, and Tommy still managed to try and 60-odd points.
Yeah. And it is Turbo. It's Turbo at Lotto Land. They've still got their spine. I mean, close enough to their spine.
The other thing is it's 2:00 in the afternoon.
Yep. So, I mean, I think that Turbo is a big, a big captaincy option. I think Schuster could have a good game in there as well. Two young ones up against each other there. Curran and are good players. Tohu will have a good game. I really like that Reece Walsh. He only scored 30s last week, and he really makes them look a lot more dynamic, doesn't he? The Warriors.
He's done really well. It makes it really hard that he's only available at fullback, but I don't want to get on a rant, so we'll let that go.
We talk about those in the chats where when does a bloody rookie fullback ever get to come in and play fullback? So, I mean,
I was really surprised today. I only just noticed today that Rocco Berry is only available at fullback.
Yeah, I know. It's just, I mean,
that's random. He's never played.
Give us an explanation on that. Like, no. There's fullback is one spot on the field. And if you've got a fullback, you got a young kid coming in and debuting for the Warriors when you got Roger Tuivasa, it's like, let's make Saab fullback only. He's not getting a fullback spot when Tommy's in the team.
If you're thinking about Walsh, then he was at the Broncos when they made those decisions. So his options were probably only to play fullback, and that's why
I think that any rookie fullback should be fullback and something else. They've got to be dual, because the likelihood that they're ever going to just waltz into a fullback spot. You just bring in like Berry and Walsh. They're unplayable. You can't. I mean, people could go go low down in fullback, but you're basically essentially guaranteeing that people can't play them. You're bringing them in so they can't be played.
Those guys into your fullback is that the price difference when they peak, and like the difference between them and Pappenhausen, for example, is going to be so big that you won't be able to afford to do an upgrade.
Well, look, the bottom line is that Rocco Berry is playing in the centres and Walsh is playing at 6. And I've talked to a few people. I mean, obviously I'm in Brisbane, so Walsh was always a 6 and a 1. He plays 6 in the lower grades or 1. Yeah. He comes off the bench and goes into the halves, So he was always a halves of some sort, and he's your classic 5'8" fullback. Like he's a classic.
He probably been pretty handy in the halves for the Broncos.
Yeah, he would have absolutely been fantastic. I mean, I think he would have been better at fullback than bloody what's his name as well. But anyway, that's off on a little rant. But yeah, it'll be a good game. I think that they're both. It's kind of one of those games where they're both at the same sort of level. I think. Yeah. When the Warriors have a really good game, I think they're as good as the Eagles look with Turbo. But it's just a matter of will the Warriors turn up in that really good. They have some really good games. So who knows?
Well, they also have Ewan Aiken and Harris DeVita sitting on their extended bench, so they could potentially have some changes come game day as well, which makes things a bit more interesting for players like Walsh and your Berries and your Pompies. Like, if they bring Aiken back in, who they brought to the club to play centre for them, who then misses out.
Well, I'd say maybe Cozzy. He's the one that looks,
and then move Pompey or Berry to the wing, you reckon?
Yeah, well, Berry is. I think he is a winger, by nature. But anyway, so there you go.
All right. Next up, last one, is it?
Yep.
All right.
It's a quality one.
So, who's going to have any players playing in this game?
Yeah, I don't think so. If there's any, someone might have Jack Bird.
This is going to be a teams game to watch, but not necessarily a classic teams game to watch. So guys like Dufty and Bird, Norman, Hunt, Sims, Maguire might all be pretty interesting for drafts. Yeah, not much at all. Quite a few people have Flanagan actually. Thompson, Elliott. But in terms of classic, yeah, not a whole lot going on there. Many changes. Max Fagai has got his second game. He got a 50 in the first one.
Yeah, he got 50 with no try.
Yeah, so that's interesting for next week.
But I mean, you're going to have it's Pereira, and I mean, I know Ravalawa will come back in, surely, because he was great before he went out. So
centre in the trials.
Yeah, so
Fuimano probably moves out with Fagai. He's just in my spot, I expect. So, but the thing is, we can wait till next week to make that decision anyway. If he's named next week to start at centre, then he's an easy downgrade for someone like a Condon if you've got dual positions or something like that.
Yeah, but not a very interesting game, really. I don't think you could probably have a little afternoon nap on that one if you want.
Yeah, I'll probably be dealing with screaming kids by then, so I won't be worried about missing that one too much.
Yep.
All right. Well,
all right, Bogues.
On to the leagues. So I'll just bring that up. Maori Mama Justine was the top of the leagues this week with 1591. I know her hubby was in the chat earlier. I don't know if he's still there, but pass along the congratulations if Justine isn't watching along.
I'm assuming this is the group, Bogan, because that's a lot of 1500s.
Yep, this is the group weekly.
Okay, cool.
All right, Leanne. I tell you what, Leanne can play.
Again.
Yeah, Leanne can play. 1510. She's in 1500th overall.
Yep, so there's a bit of a spoiler of who topped the invitational for the week. So well done, Leanne.
Right. Ripper score, Leanne. Yeah, good score. And she pulls out some real good scores on the regular.
I recognize many of the others there.
So, and on to the group overall. So, Jed, Pog champion, 1463, sitting in 7th overall. He is in the herbs and spices at the moment.
What a champion. Well done, mate.
Yeah, keep pushing, Jed.
You were saying
I don't know if Jed's in the chat.
Make an appearance tonight.
Yeah.
Popped up in the... No, nothing from Jed. Who else is...
And the People's Chin, Daniel with the People's Chin, he's just sitting outside the top 100. That battle between him and Jed will continue, I'm sure, over the coming weeks. Surprised that neither of you fellas are in the top 10 for the group.
Oh, well, I stink, mate. I'm down to 6,000. So Cando's
for last week.
I'm on a slide. I've got to claw my way back, but no. I mean, I'm close, but no cigar. I just want a 1500. I just want a big ripper 1500.
I got one. My first ever 1500. 10 years of playing 1500.
On to the
well,
all-in.
All-in.
I accidentally done the ladder for the all-in. But Troy with Humdinger, he's currently leading the all-in.
Killing the all-in. Well, there's 4 up the top. Hope in Cogra. I don't know how to say that. Shivka. And PTKB.
PTKB. And that's, I believe it's a top 5. So, and Red Nose Dearden is wrapping out the top 5, but it's pretty close there in that top 10. Sorry, fellas, I'll have the points scored next week.
Josh, he's made his way to the top 10. Nice work.
The top scorer is going to be spewing, didn't get on the screen.
For the invitational this week, Leanne with Fire and Ice with the 510. He was the top scorer in the invitational, followed by Big Ted. Call Me Big Pappy. Bundy coming in 4th, and Trent with 1374. in 5th.
Some pretty good ranks on there. I like it.
Yeah, definitely. Well done. I think that's a good would have seen some green arrows if you're in the 1300s. So everyone's done well there, and no one apart from a couple in there, everyone's doing pretty well for the year. Yeah, well done.
Shout out to the lads in there in 857th.
Yeah. Well done.
Yeah, Benny's doing well. I'm trying to get Benny on the show, but he's a bit shy, it seems. But
Can't be uglier than me.
he doesn't have to be on cam. He can be like me.
You know, I said you could have an avatar like Bogan.
Yeah.
Rounds left.
In Eel, surely.
So on to the draft. Brent went down to Trent. Psycho Circus, he got absolutely fucking whooped by Benny.
You got it handed.
Yep. Mana got over yourself there, Kane.
Yeah,
I got whooped, which is becoming a familiar thing.
look at that. 918.
Mate, I'm in 3 drafts, and I think I had Brett Morris and Zach Lomax in all of them.
Well, I was top scorer for the week too, mate. So you lost the top scorer of the week.
Yeah, well, we'll see when we get to the ladder, the reason for that. Hell's Grannies got up over Call Me Big Puppy, which I believe before updates was a lot closer than that. So,
Well, I had Call Me Big Puppy last week, and then the Munster update screwed me over. I beat him by 1 point. Munster gets an extra 6 points, and I lose.
After the game's finished, so you close off as the winner.
Absolutely.
and going to the ladder, it's Livin' Tavita Loca at the top, 6 and 2, just ahead on for and against by 500 points over Call Me Big Puppy, who's sitting on 12 as well, followed by Trent with Scrambled Legs, Hell's Grannies, and Hampton's Hitman sitting in the final spot there, but one Josh King right on his behind there.
Yeah, look at you two just bringing up the rear down there.
Mate, it was rigged against us, mate. Brent rigged it against us for him and his mates, and he couldn't even stay at the top for.
My first 2 picks were Ponga and Appy, so I was at a pretty slow start, to be fair.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I've actually been doing a heck of a lot better at draft. Some weeks in draft, I'm nearly scoring as much as I do in classic. So there you go. Go figure. But good. I'll try to hold on. It's pretty close, really. If you go down to 5th, it's only 1 win. So.
Looking at that, Ados, you've had 600 points scored against you less than myself and 900 points less than Bogan.
Yeah, but I've scored nearly 1,000 more than Bogan.
Yeah.
Well, you're 400
more than you.
me.
Yeah, it hasn't been a good year for draft for me. And that's it, fellas. So,
you have. All right. Well, nothing else really for it.
anything in the chat?
Anything in there, guys?
Not much in the chat, but what are your trades, boys?
Go for it, Bogan. What are you looking at this week?
Hold on. Let me just go to my team. Yeah, probably bringing in Harry Grant, chasing points.
Well, it's not chasing points with Grant because I think he's the prime target for Hooker, and I don't think he's going to be any cheaper than he is right now for the rest of the year. So.
And he was a straight trade for Mahoney, and I picked up $60,000 or something like that. So
I don't want to hold money for the buy.
Well, yeah. Well, I'll probably change my mind about 5 times before Thursday.
If I had money, I'd be holding. He's not disappointing anyone at any stage.
I just think that Harry Grant, he's just too good. I just reckon he'll be up there.
Yeah.
Who's your other hooker?
Connor Watson, who I could
I'd sell before.
probably swap. Oh, I've got Schuster though. Schuster and Munster. So yeah, I don't know. I'll probably change my mind about 4 or 5 times.
But that obviously depends on cash.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yourselves.
What about you? What about you, Kando?
Well, like I said before, I was looking at a potential Pappenhausen purchase just to be a point of difference up the top, a potential VC option right at the start of the week, try and get some points catch up.
Yep.
But with Pap not being named, I don't really know exactly what I'm going to do. I'm looking at guys like Val as a long-term option. I'm looking at guys like Best as a potential buy round option plus potential hold because they've got a pretty good run at the end of the season. Sini as a downgrader somewhere, looking at selling guys like Condon and Ryan James. And then what to do with Tedesco.
Yeah, there's a few things to think about. I mean, I think for me, the moment I had the dud, you know, I was just going to play him at fullback. Once 13 was finished, I was going to, you know, bring in a Pap and then you know, selling out one of my centre wings and bringing Thompson up probably because I was just happy with what he was scoring.
Yeah.
Now that I've lost him, you know, my thought was always to go straight to Pap, you know, because I'm not going to go waste another trade to go to around 13. You know, my experiment of
trade player.
Yeah, and I've just got to cop that one, and I'm going to probably, you know, I would have loved to have just gone to Pap this week, but I'm going to have to hold 600K on the bench this week. He's not going to lose money, obviously, but I'm going to just be going straight to Pap. That's what my decision was, just my finishing fullback now with my next trade from fullback instead of fucking around. So I will wait on that. I'm going to go, I didn't actually go Curran because, you know, I thought I was a genius last week getting TPJ and Thompson because I thought they'd score well and they were around 13s, and I'll just pay an extra 80K for Curran. You know, I'll still be able to downgrade someone to Curran. So I'm going to sell Capewell. I've got 4 good centre wings that I can play every week, and I've even got, you know, I've got fair ones on the bench as well. So I'm gonna go on Capewell. I think with the rib injury, the minutes could be a concern, and I do think that he's a good chance at Origin. And with the ADBE, I just want to utilise his money because I make like 200K off that, you know, or more going down to Schuster. I mean to Curran. So that'll be definitely one of mine. And I guess, you know, because I'm going to hold Thompson, you know, I could maybe go. I've got enough to go Best, you know, like I could get Best, who was one of my targets, you know, like I've written down my targets, I always write them down. So, and I write the priority of when I'm going to, you know, knock them away. And Best is at number 3 for me. So I think if I got to hold Corey Thompson, I don't need Corey Thompson's money to be able to upgrade one of my cheapies to Best. So I'll probably go Best and Curran this week, and then hold on Corey Thompson for next week.
I could easily go a Condon and Ryan James to a Sini and Best, and then just bench Capewell. I could sell Tedesco and Capewell and bring in Holmes and Best together, which is another option. Or I could just do nothing. I could do no trades and just play Tedesco and Capewell and leave. I'd still have potentially Paulo and Curran on my bench with no trade.
Well, I mean, that's actually a really good point that you've made, because I said on my pod this week that, you know, if you've max traded till now, I don't know how many people in the chat or you have I've max traded. I've traded every round. So
there's always something. So if you get an opportunity to not trade,
you shouldn't trade. Yes,
you should consider. Yeah, it's still hard after last year where you just got so used to being able to trade every week and not worrying about it. Like you had to have 4 trades for the entire season where you didn't trade.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the thing. It's made everyone forget what it's like normally. And I think with injuries, people are just going, oh, I got an injury, I'll just use it. But, like, me, I could just go Corey Thompson and go to Gutho. I could go Corey Thompson to another, or bring down Laurie down and get another 13 person. Just keep using trades to get to 13s.
But to go to someone like Gutho who's gone ton, who's already gone 700 because of those two scores, you've missed those two scores, and then you want to jump on afterwards. You could then go crap for the next 3 weeks and lose all that cash back again and completely stitch you up. Yeah, and then you could get selected for Origin as a utility because there's been a couple of injuries. So
I mean, look, the benefits of someone like Gutho is he's going to be one of the people you could captain in round 13 should he not get in for Origin. He's still got to be of 16, so he's going to probably make more money. But I mean, the thing is that because I've max traded, I've got to now start to take some opportunities to not trade. Yeah. My aim was, I mean, I think I'm already at about 11 for 13. So over the coming weeks, I would expect that I could save 4. But if you've max traded, don't make haphazard, unnecessary trades. That would be my only advice.
The one big bit of advice that I have is that if you have max traded, then you need to be careful about trading in people that you plan on selling again.
Yeah,
because that's the one thing that I really try and avoid, because and that's why I bought someone like Grant last week. He's someone that I don't plan on trading again. He's someone that I've locked into my 17 for the rest of the season. If he's playing, he's in. If he's not, I'll bench him. I've got Brayley there.
Yeah, and that was the reason why someone like TPJ, I could bring him in because before I had TPJ, I had Tino, and I was playing with Tikamano in my front row. So I was like, all right, Tino, I can get TPJ, who's around 13. He's in the low 500s, and potentially, if he keeps averaging 70 from here, playing 80 in the second row, he could prove to be a hold for the rest of the year.
Well, you're in the 600s.
Yeah.
So he's obviously priced at that amount for a reason. And the fact that you get him for a 100K discount, and he's someone that if he keeps his head on straight, which it seems like he's doing pretty well at, hold him for the whole year. He could be one of your front rowers for the whole year, and you'd be partnering with him if you've got IPAP and he's still going well. You can keep him or Haas or whatever, but you won't really want a bench, like to use a reserve spot on a front rower. You want 2 that are pretty quality, and then someone who could cover at a pinch. But you don't want to be wasting a reserve on a front rower. So if you can get your front rowers locked in pretty early, then you can hold them for the year.
Yeah. So I mean, good points, and I think people should just not get too obsessed about numbers for 13. If it means like you're covering injuries by buying in another round 13, you're burning an extra trade that you're going to have to trade about again. It's like 3 trades for one thing.
Exactly.
So just be careful what you do. And, I think, we've got, what is it now? We're going to round 9. So you've got 3 rounds to get yourself ready for 13.
Yeah.
And then you've got a short turnaround to get ready for 17. So you really should be, like I'm going Curran this week because I think he's going to be getting to a nice price for 17, and you can play him every week. And then if you wanted to hold him for the rest of the year, you could, or you sell him, you probably just let him hum away as long as he's got that spot.
You're buying him now. He's not going to play 13, but he still is a buy number. He's a number that you can play in 17.
Yep.
So think of your buy numbers not just in how many can I get this week and how many can I get that week. Think of it as a total. The usual number is around about 25. If you can get 25 over those 2 buy rounds, then you're doing pretty well. And ideally, those 25 are your decent players, not just your Saabs and Staines and Simmonsons and whatever that are just plugging home.
There's going to be people in round 13, for instance, that have a quality 10 players. They're going to be getting more points than people have got. 15, but 5 of them are Utikamano and Linu and, all of them kinds. And I think, for instance, your trade last week was Harry Grant, who you're not going to have for 13 or 17, and if you brought back Pat, he's not going to be a 13 or 17 either, but they've finished the year. That's what you get out of that.
Well, that's the thing. I get to round 18, and I've got both of those guys already locked in, when everyone else is then trying to scramble and generate the cash to bring in multiple guns after that final buy. And if you've got those guys locked in, then you can either save trades, which you can use at the end, or you can use trades which then progress you further in front of everyone else rather than just keeping up.
I think that the style of play, it's different if you're ranked 20,000 and lower than if you're in the top couple of thousand. You have to play a bit more strategy to save trades and to claw your way up and have good numbers for the buys and stuff. But you don't have to spread it so much if you're in 20. You can be more risky and you can do a little bit more, but it's just, you've got to think about it. You just think about all your trades and go, is it a 17? Is it a finish the year? If it's not, it's another trade out and I'm wasting trades and I haven't saved any. Just think about some of those things and, good luck to you for round 13 numbers. And, but I think, aim for 25. 27 is even really good, but 25 minimum.
Well, the one thing, people are trying to really stack that first buy, but if you've got Cleary, Walker, and then 2 gun fullbacks other than Gutho, that's already two positions where you can't field a player. So you're already down to 16.
Yeah.
And then that's not even counting your hooker position, which is pretty limited. Most people have Brayley anyway, so that covers that. But there's a lot of positions where you're not going to be able to field players. So getting 17 is completely unrealistic. You're never going to get that. And really, you don't really want that either. If you get 17, trying to flip that team around for round 17 is going to use so many trades. Then you're going to have so many more trades to try and use to get your team right, and you're going to be cooked by round 20.
Yeah. And I write that to myself every year. Adrian, you idiot, why didn't you save trades?
I tell myself every single week, you can save a trade this week.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. All right, that's it. That's the show. Thanks for coming,
everyone. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Apologies for the technical difficulties. New equipment, so I'll be messing around with the settings and stuff like that to hopefully fix a few sound issues and things like that over the weekend. But hopefully next week it's back to the usual technical difficulties by human error.
Yeah. And
well, good luck this week, everyone. I hope everyone sees some green arrows, and I'm gonna go. I need to go up the ladder. I want to get in the top 1,000 again.
Oh, who have you got in the Hammies Cup, Addo?
I've got points per minute guy.
Cowboy.
Cowboy, yeah, I've got Cowboy, I think. So he had a good score last week, and I've gone Des Creek, who won it, and then Tim Williams, who came second last year. So I've had a couple. I can't believe I lost to Des when he had Teddy as his captain for 17. I lost to him when he captained Teddy for 17. I can't believe it.
That hurts.
But updates got me over the line against Tim Williams last week. And that's my first big scalp of the year. And I've got 2 wins now in the Turbos Hammies. So I'm happy with that.
I think I'm on 3. I've got the Spy this week, who is on fire. He's just absolutely humming. Every week he's climbing the ranks. So I've got to try and knock him down a peg this week.
Yeah, tough competitors they are, but he's a good player. Yeah.
Good call. If you haven't looked into it, look up the Turbos Hammies Cup on Facebook. There is a group. We have the results that I put up on a weekly basis. So if you don't know what it is, it's a podcasters league. I think we've got about 10 different podcasts represented in one league, and we're all going head to head. And yeah, good fun. Yep. Really tough comp. They're sitting 7th in terms of the leagues, ranked 7th.
There's a guy in there who's like the highest ranked out of all of us, and what's his name? And he hasn't had a win yet. Yeah.
From the Searching for Corey Parker podcast.
That's the best name too. So shout out to those guys, because
and it's a really good podcast. They look at things in a different way to most other podcasts, and they go on a bit of a deep dive in stats and that sort of thing at times, and I really enjoy that pod. But yeah, Costa's sitting in the 250s or something like that overall, and is 0-6 in head.
I mean, what's the chances? I mean, I know it's a bit of a lottery with head-to-head sometimes, but I mean, if he's sitting that high, he's having good weeks nearly every week. He's just had the unluckiest run against opponents. It happens.
I think he's got Jake this week who pulled out a 1,022 or something last week.
Yeah. Maybe
he had both Laurie and Sam Walker on the bench.
Oh yeah, it's going to be a moment when Costa gets off the bottom, he gets a win.
There's always got to be one, hasn't there? But
all
right.
Overall's better.
Usual YouTube shit. Subscribe, click the bell. Check out Adro's podcast on SoundCloud. Adrianosaurus Rex on that for that podcast, and may the trade gods be kind.
Thanks for listening, guys. Talk to you soon.
Oh, and I'll just find the mouse pointer.